Hello everyone, it's Tristan with another video. And again, we're out in nature and we got that good lighting. So today we're going to be reading Ezra chapter 10. And before we jump into it, I want to mention a verse that really stood out to me last week, where it says here that God has punished us less than our iniquities deserved and has given us such remnant as this, which is them rebuilding the temple and being able to have God restore their fortunes, and God being merciful and punishing them less than their iniquities deserved. And I thought it was amazing the way that verse states that. And on that note, we're going to be wrapping up the book of Ezra right here in chapter 10. And this has been a great time. It's not always easy reading things in the Bible, and especially to an audience. And but it's a good moment to study it and take recognition of it. And I've been I've been greatly enjoying trying to understand the history of the Old Testament and some of the amazing things that went on during that time. So it starts here. While Ezra prayed and made confession, weeping and casting himself down before the house of God, a very great assembly of men, women, and children gathered to him out of Israel, for the people wept bitterly. When the temple was rebuilt, and when the temple was rebuilt, the elder people that remembered what the old temple looked like, it said something along the lines of how I think it says that they wept bitterly. But yeah, there was people greatly displeased because the temple is never able to be what it once was. And here is the people weeping again. It says, and this person, the son of Jehiel, of the sons of Elam, addressed Ezra. We have broken faith with our God and have married foreign women from the peoples of the land. But even now there is hope for Israel in spite of this. There's still hope, and God punished them less than their iniquities deserved. Therefore, let us make a covenant with our God to put away all these wives and their children according to the counsel of my Lord, and of those who tremble at the commandment of our God, and let it be done according to the law. That is amazing. I'm definitely highlighting that. See, the thing is, what really spoke to me in that, according to the counsel of my Lord. And that reminds me of Ephesians 1:11, that says that we are predestined, and it goes on to say that God works all things according to the counsel, I think is how it states it. Don't quote me on it, but it's pretty close. Ephesians 1:11, and that's amazing. And those who tremble at the commandment of our God, and let it be done according to the law. And the law that God gave for us to follow. And that the law that Jesus fulfilled. It says, arise, for it is your task, and we are with you. Be strong and do it. Just like the one of the minor prophets, we were studying before how one of the minor prophets were encouraging them, saying to work and be strong, just as it says here, be strong and do it. Then arose Ezra and made the leading priests and Levites and all Israel take an oath that they would do as had been said. So they took the oath. Now that's interesting, taking an oath. So that's a pretty good concept there too. It says, then Ezra withdrew from before the house of God and went to the chamber of Jehohanan, the son of Elishib, where he spent the night, neither eating bread nor drinking water, for he was mourning over the faithlessness of the exiles. Had to move the phone into my other hand. My arm's getting tired there. Let's see. It says, and a proclamation was made throughout Judah and Jerusalem to all the returned exiles that they should assemble at Jerusalem. and that if anyone did not come within 3 days, by order of the officials and the elders of his property, should be forfeited, and he himself banned from the congregation of the exiles. There was a lot that took place on being accepted in to this rebuilding of this temple, is what I think is referring to here. Because if you weren't a man of Israel, then you weren't accepted. If you didn't come in 3 days, you're not accepted. This was a serious, very, what God had ordained was very serious, and these oaths, and this is a very, very serious situation. And we can see that through all like the genealogies throughout this, how genuine and how God God put this in place, and also how people wanted to follow the law to the best of their ability and give according to their ability. It says, then all the men of Judah and Benjamin assembled at Jerusalem within 3 days. It was the 9th month of the 20th day of the month. And all the people sat in the open square before the house of God, trembling because of this matter, and because of the heavy rain. The heavy rain. And Ezra the priest stood up and said to them, you have broken faith and married foreign women. Increase the guilt of Israel. And the foreign women was because they weren't to mix with other people, because this is a very holy situation here, where it was the men of Israel gathering to rebuild the temple, and strictly the men of Israel. There's ones that sought registration and were not accepted. There are people that are marrying foreign women, and that's not okay. People that are not men of Israel, it has to be the men of Israel. It has to be, because that's how God wants it, and God's way is how it should be always, and what God is putting in place here. They're following the law, and that's great. That's what God wants from them in this situation. That's what God wants from all of us, is to be able to follow the law that Jesus Christ fulfilled. It says, and so increase the guilt of Israel. Now then, make confession to the Lord. Now then, make confession to the Lord, the God of your fathers, and do his will. Separate. Now that's really loud, those bugs. Okay, separate yourself from the peoples of the land and from the foreign wives. Then all the assembly answered with a loud voice, it is so. We must do as you have said. But the people are many, and it is a time of heavy rain. We cannot stand in the open, nor is this a task for 1 day or for 2. For we have greatly transgressed in this matter. It's not a task for 1 or 2 days, and that they couldn't stand in the open. Okay, so let our officials stand in the whole assembly. Let all in our cities who have taken foreign wives come at the appointed time, and with them the elders and judges of every city, until the fierce wrath of our God over this matter is turned away from us. Only Jonathan, the son of, I don't know how to say that word, and then also this other person, a little bit of genealogy here, and who opposed this, and Meshullam, and this other person, the Levites, supported them. So we have the people, we know there's these people supporting them and opposing it. It says, then the returned exiles did so. Ezra the priest selected men, heads of fathers. Ezra the priest selected men, heads of fathers' houses, according to their fathers' houses, each of them designated by name. On the first day of the Sorry about that, there's this bug in my ear constantly. Okay. On the first day of the 10th month, they sat down to examine the matter. And first day of the first month, they had come to the end of of all the men who had married foreign women. Now there were found some of the sons of the priest who had married foreign women. And then it looks like it's giving us genealogy here, showing how genuine this really is and how this really took place. And Eleazar, let's see, we got Jeshua, the son of Josadak, and his brothers. It says they pledged themselves to, and let me go up to that genealogy so people can kind of look at it as we're reading the other verse. It says they pledged themselves to put away their wives, and their guilt offering was a ram of the flock for their guilt. And I guess we can call this a guilt offering, because that's what it was for. Which, and it says here, yeah, their guilt offering was a ram of the sons of Immer, and then these other two names of the sons of Haram, Elijah, Jehiel, and then looks like there's going to be a lot of genealogy here. And it says, as we look through these names, we got the singers here, the Levites, and of Israel. And those names, Hashabiah, that's a interesting name, of the sons of Elam, of the sons of Zatu, and it says of the sons of all these different people. And we're just going to slowly go through this genealogy real quick, because it does profit, but it's hard for us to learn a whole lot from it. But we know that it's talking about the people, and the different groups of people was very important throughout the book of Ezra, and this is really emphasizing that, because there's a chapter in Ezra where it gave the registration list, and it says all these had married foreign women. That's the list of men that married foreign women, and some of the women had even born children. And then it's going to leave off there. That's the book. That's the end of the book of Ezra. And it leaves off the men that married the foreign women, and the genealogy there, and how they offered a guilt offering. Now that's really fascinating. So we got the guilt offering, and where it says here, and the people that had taken foreign wives at that appointed time, until the fierce wrath of our God over this matter is turned away from us. So, and I'm going to look over this just a little bit more. It was a somewhat long chapter because of the genealogies that it gave us. And yeah, they broke into faith and married the foreign women. But of course, this was because these were men of Israel, and it was supposed to be Israel alone. Israel alone, and not the other people. And there was that verse that we really liked here. I really liked. It says, let us make a covenant with our God, and this is where I'm going to leave off. Therefore, let us make a covenant with our God to put away all these wives and their children, according to the counsel of my Lord, and of those who tremble at the commandment of our God. And let it be done according to the law. And we're going to end off the book of Ezra with the fact that these people were wanting to obey God, obey the law, and do what was right, according to God's commandments, according to obeying Him, trembling. We have to fear the Lord and want to do right, and want to live righteously, and live the way that He wants us to live. And of course, God's going to work everything according to the counsel of His will. We follow Him and trust in Him and do as He says. And we are supposed to be obedient children of God, and of course these people they had guilt because they didn't listen to God. God was right there in their ears and they didn't listen to him, and they married foreign women and they mixed. The other chapter talked about mixing. There was supposed to be no mixture. It's because of the situation here, men of Israel, and that's a big part of this chapter was talking about that, about how important God's commandments are, and trusting in Him, listening to His law, doing as He says, and putting trust in Him, because it's through God that we are able to live this righteous and holy life and be able to live the way that He wants us to live. And it was really, really nice being able to study the book of Ezra with everybody. It's a blessing being able to study Old Testament history and making content that people may or may not watch. And I will also be posting a video of Mickey's. I've been kind of slow on it, but I'll be posting last week's today, and then I'll be posting mine, and I make sure that I keep the content going, and I appreciate everybody that's been watching my videos, and we'll definitely jump into something that has to do with the gospel next week, since we just Ezra. We studied Zephaniah, we studied Ezra, and we learned some good verses throughout those books, and like Zephaniah talking about the ones that are settled on their lees or being complacent, and I don't think I actually went into that concept too much in my YouTube videos, but there's been some really fascinating verses throughout just these two books that we've been studying, and I've been able to learn a lot of history through it, and it's been very encouraging, and I feel a lot more comfortable with the Old Testament now, and I appreciate anybody that's been watching my videos, and it's just been really nice just studying everything, and now we're done with the book of Ezra, and I hope anybody that's watched my videos has been enjoying studying it with me, and thanks everyone for watching. Everybody have a blessed night.